Hi, this is Jose at Predictable Innovation, and in this video I'm going to show you and explain what a complete product means, what is the whole product concept, and what's our own version of that whole product concept, the low-risk recipe, and of course how to apply it to your business. So if you're not familiar with how the technology markets evolve, they evolve following a normal curve. This was discovered by Everett Rogers in the 58, more or less, and this is the so-called technology adoption life cycle. So, and this graph represents how innovations, products based on technology are adopted, and that includes any kind of technology and SaaS, and it includes software consulting business too, for example. So when we're in an early market, innovators are technology enthusiasts, and they represent the 2.5% of the population or of any given market category. So that's 2.5%, and there are really innovators, there are technology enthusiasts, they love technology. Then as we move forward, once the technology is adopted by innovators, the very first, grabbing interest or having interest from your technology, we move to the early adopters. They are the 13.5% of any given market or technology market, and they are visionaries who want to achieve any kind of competitive advantage or job to be done. If you're familiar with the innovation frameworks, they both want technology and product. So they are very focused on your product features, on your SaaS features, on your technology features, and the performance, and how fast it is, and how new it is, and how unique it is, and how ahead are they from everyone else, right? But then as the market matures, the mainstream markets, and that is 84% of any given market. So your big opportunity is here. The early majority, that's the green part, they are more pragmatists, and they are skeptics about the technology, and they want to reduce risks, but at the same time they don't want to be left behind. So they are willing to move before the late majority, but they want to avoid some kind of risks and avoid disruption in their day-to-day and in their business when adopting that technology. They want convenience. And the late majority, they are even more risk-averse, and the laggards, they are all about cost reduction, right? So we need different approaches in messaging, in positioning, in our sales, in our sales channels, and of course in our what we call product offering attributes and how we differentiate our business. So this is just a summary. Early adopters, they want, or they don't care about verticalization. It's not that they want horizontal messages, but they don't care if your technology is not verticalized or it's not specialized for their vertical, because they can match what your technology does or your product with their vision. They have this kind of very visionary mindset. So in terms of positioning, they don't care that much about that. However, the early majority, they care about that. They care about having more vertical message because they are all about risk reduction. So if I'm looking for a solution and I want to avoid risk, I want a proven solution for my very same vertical, right? So that's something to take into account for the positioning messaging. In the early markets, the competition is between categories. Early adopters, they can pick different technologies that are in different market categories because they are horizontal, and achieve something that was so that the technology was not intended to do, right? And that's what is competition between categories about. But in the mainstream and in the early majority, they compare solutions in the same majority, right? They go after sales intelligence tools, or they go after electrical cars, or they compare solutions in very specific buckets in their minds. And now what we're going to talk today is core features. The early adopters, they care about the performance of your product, about the core features, and they don't care about having a kind of buggy solution and what we call incomplete product. We're going to talk about it. But the mainstream, they care a lot about that. They want to reduce risk. They don't want a buggy product. They want your support. They want consulting services. They want a whole bunch of different things to reduce the risk perception and avoid disruption when adopting your technology or SaaS product. And that means product plus services. So early adopters focus on core product, early majority focus on what we call the intangibles. It's not that much about the core product, but intangibles, we'll talk about that in the next slides. Early adopters, they want something new and unique. They want to stay ahead of the crowd, while the early majority, they want something that is proven work in their vertical, and the competition already exists. And you probably have seen some blog post in which they compare different solutions, SaaS solutions or technology solutions, and you may think why they are writing about the competition. Well, early majority wants to see competition because that validates your technology. That means that makes them think they are not moving ahead because there are plenty of tools available and they can compare, so they feel safe comparing your tool. Instead, if you are just talking about your tool and they don't find any kind of source that there is already competition in the market is not validated for them. That means they are not going to move forward with that kind of technology because it's still not validated. It's too early for them, right? And the early adopters focus on solution benefits. Is how is the product going to help me achieve my vision with the benefits or outcomes or jobs to be done. The early majority, on the opposite, they focus on adoption costs. It's like, okay, I have this benefit, but what is the cost of adopting this technology in terms of economic cost, but mostly disruption and potential risks down the road, right? So that's their focus, and that's the reason we have to balance tangibles, which is benefits, with intangibles. And intangibles are not only benefits, but are to reduce risk perception and avoid disruption when adopting a technology. So coming back to the technology market's evolution, we see that at the very beginning, it's all about core features, and in the mainstream markets, once we cross the chasm, if there is chasm, not always there is chasm, just in these continuous innovations for the early adopters, for the early majority, late majority, and for the laggards, we need what we call a complete solution, or the so-called whole product offering. And our version of a complete solution, or our version of the whole product model, is the LowRisk Recipe. We've created it during 30 years. My partner, Warren Schiersinger, has been creating it during these years. I've been helping him to refine it, and it's something that it's applicable to complete the product. We'll talk about it later. We put together what we've seen till now with these facts, because maybe you don't agree with this, but these are facts. Is that technology is easy to copy. If you base your advantages just in technology, someone is going to copy you real quick, or doing something but cheaper real quick. So think about, for example, something that is, you can think that it was impossible to copy or really difficult to copy is Tesla, right? With those batteries, with these huge ranges, right? They were one of the first in the market of the electric vehicles with these big batteries. Well, and turns that now Mercedes, BMW, Volkswagen, Ford, they have more or less the same range already. It didn't took that much, right? So technology is easy to copy. Then technology is not what the majority of potential product adopters care about. They care more about, adopting technology, but lowering the risks and avoiding disruptions. So it's not that much about performance, and that's the reason, because again, with Tesla, for example, we may think Tesla is really good position to be the market leader in the electric vehicle. I don't think so, because they have a lot of risk attributes that, for example, Ford doesn't have. It's about the reputation of the brand that the late majority cares a lot about. It's about knowing that if your Ford is not running okay, you're just going to take it to the car dealer, and you have thousands of car dealers. While with Tesla, well, depending on the market, you don't have that much car dealers that can take care. You don't know what's going to happen and what's the process of fixing an electric vehicle, So all of that, what if? So the majority of the population weren't, and businesses, when adopting a technology, is going to think about the what ifs, right? Those are the what ifs that we need to fix in the whole product. But you still have the early adopters. They want technology. You can always have the best technology and sell to the early adopters. But what usually happens with that is that you don't find sustainable growth because you compete on innovation speed. You just can be quicker than the competition, creating more and more features or improving your technology for the early adopters. Because, by the way, early adopters, because they are visionaries, they want to stay with your technology. As soon as they have, you know, they see a new technology that is going to help them improve what they have, they're going to move, because remember, they don't care about risks, they don't care about adoption pains. But the ones that care about staying with you, the ones that care about the pains and the disruption because of technology changes, are the early majority, the late majority, and the laggards. So those are the ones that will help you to reduce the churn, because they don't want the painful, to have this pain of switching technologies too much, right? So that's where the opportunity is. Core features won't help you reduce the perceived risk of your product, won't help you create moats and lasting advantage. We've been talking about it, but most importantly, with a complete product, you can create a powerful moat. And you'll see now, because there are 12 intangible attributes that you can build. And think about the 12 different intangible attributes. They can copy your technology, they can copy one attribute, but it's going to be very difficult to copy the 12 intangible attributes. And if you are the very first one moving into a market niche or a vertical in which you have already a complete product assembly, you are going to gain a strong market position, probably a market leadership position. You're gaining reputation. And that's the most difficult thing to copy. They can't copy your reputation. So as soon as you can, move towards a vertical, and, well, depending on the stage of the market, right? We need to understand your stage of the market. But if you have a really complete product and then you can drive reputation, that's really difficult to copy, if not impossible. And you have lasting advantage. And core features won't help you accelerate revenue and reach the next wave of product adopters, meaning that the next wave, if you're an early adopters and you keep focusing on features, you won't convince the mainstream market, and you get stuck with the early adopters, right? Your next wave of adopters should be in the mainstream, because it's where the big opportunity is, right? So what's our formula to complete a product, build sustainable advantage, and reduce sales cycles? As you might guess, is the low-risk recipe. It helps build differentiation, reduce risk perception with these 12 intangible attributes that we'll see now. It accelerates what we call product market acceptance. So your product, you will have the customer will have a more compelling reason to buy from you. So your product will be easier accepted by these prospective customers. You will create moats and lasting advantage, and of course you reduce sales cycles, customer acquisition costs, and increase the close rate. And so if you have a look to this graphic, this is the low risk recipe. We divide it in 3 different categories. We have and we talk about it. We have the end user harmony attributes that you can add to your product offering. We have the category cooperation and the safety numbers. But what's really important to understand now is the difference between the core innovation product. You can see it in the very center in black. That's the core innovation product. Those are the features that you build for the very early market to solve a job to be done, or solve a problem. But then what surrounds the core innovation product are what we call the intangibles, are what are going to complete your solution, right? And then this is really important to understand, right? If you remember the technology adoption life cycle, market moves, and then we have different profiles of adopters with different characteristics, and they account for different, amounts of opportunities in the market. So innovators at the very beginning, They all care about the core innovation product. And that's why in the very left of this graphic, we see the black part, the core innovation product, very, very big. And we don't see that big the 12 attributes of risk reduction elements, what we call the intangibles. They are not that much prominent, right? But as we move, and that means the market matures, the potential adopters of your SaaS or your technology, they care less about the core innovation. That's the reason, because the core innovation, the black, circle in the very center, is every time is the size is smaller and the smaller and the smaller. On the opposite, we see that the risk reduction attributes or intangibles, they gain weight into this whole product, right? So that's what you should focus as the market matures. But what's most importantly, think about the big jump, the dramatical jump between the early adopters and the early majority. You see, the early adopters, they just care about 6 different intangible attributes plus the core innovation product. We jump to the early majority, they are all about intangibles, right? Because they want to reduce risk. They are not about benefits that much. They are more about reducing risks and avoid disruptions in the day-to-day, and be safe and feel safe with your technology, right? So this is the dramatical change that causes the so-known chasm, right? Here is when you cross the chasm from an early market to a mainstream market. And the majority of the population, for sure, is in the early majority and in the late majority. So the majority of businesses, population, potential technology adopters, they care more about intangibles than about your core features. Now, let's have a look to the 12 intangibles to complete a product. And we're going to see some examples of SaaS. End user harmony attributes, this is the first set, and those are attributes that you can add to your product offering and communicate that ensure harmony of your product with the end user. That means reduce disruption when adopting the technology, right? You can see the difference between the early market and the mainstream. The stars means that how much do they care, right? So mainstream cares 3 stars for everything. Well, actually, that's early majority cares 3 stars, because late majority, they are 2 in the mainstream, they care 4 stars about everything. On the other side, the early market or your early adopters and innovators, they care way less, right? And they don't care, for example, about trusted channels. So the different attributes, compatible and familiar, what does that mean? Means that you have a technology or SaaS that is allowing users to continue using their existing systems and methods. That means integrations, right? Integrations. And if you don't have that integrations, provide a tailored service, to embed your technology in their technology. And of course, put that in your sales pitch, put that in your web, and everything. You have to communicate your risk reduction attributes, otherwise it's like you don't have them. You don't communicate, you don't have them. Then the complete solution with support, that means a pre-configured solution that is kind of plug and play with an integrated ecosystem if needed, plus comprehensive support. Is okay, I'm offering you this support that is going to help you, to ask us questions and to so that you can have someone in our team helping you as fast as possible, as quick as possible. But most importantly, the solution is delivering the value without need of any kind of custom development or any kind of trick that the customer has to do by themselves. So you do everything for the customer. That's for the mainstream, right? Early markets, they care more about custom projects. So they don't care that much in that sense. They want the complete solution, but they don't care if they have to hire you to do a custom project. But, mainstream, they care a little bit more about having a custom project. They want more, the complete solution, and the complete solution in terms of course, the intangibles. Trial before commitment. That's the reason, because SaaS is a technology, so successful, because you can or most of the SaaS, they let the customers or the prospective customers do a trial before commitment, and that's so for example, um, um, pricing pricing models that are about having trials, that those are not the freemium models, right? Freemium model is not a pricing model. It's an adoption tactic, because you are helping the customer to trial it before moving forward. So the more the customer can see, before moving forward, the easier for them to make the buying decision. That's something interesting, important, and critical for the adoption, and that's the reason, or part of the reason, because SaaS has been so successful, because the trial before commitment helps to explore the potential users your technology. And then trusted channel means use a trusted channel of sales and marketing and delivery that is well known and familiar for the final customers. So the early adopters, they can buy through the internet, just and even they don't know maybe nobody in your company, but they take the risk because they want to achieve their vision. They want to stay ahead of everyone else in the market. But when you cross to the mainstream, they are more about, driving, buying from someone that they already know. And that's where, for example, having a channel, a partner channel, is really helpful, because having different partners all around the world, local, close to your prospective customers, that would help you sell more for sure, because those are trusted channels for the mainstream. Examples: compatible and familiar. For example, here we have the HubSpot partner program here, and see how many applications and integrations they have, right? So they can integrate with all of that, and all of them, they are partners. So what does that mean? So that means that if I use HubSpot, I won't feel alone, and then I can switch the partner. I can use all this ecosystem even if I am with HubSpot. So it doesn't mean what kind of tool am I using. They are compatible almost with all the tools, right? Compatible and familiar means too that it's compatible with any kind of browser. If I'm using in my company and I have my company policies, and I have a big company and I'm using, I don't know, Chrome, and you're just compatible with Firefox, oh, you're toast with my company, right? I'm not going with you for sure. Then complete solution with support. A great example is Webflow University with the course libraries they have. For example, training means completing the solution, in this case through training. And the support, a great example is Stripe support. They have different support plans too. The trusted channels, we talk about building partnerships or having partners that are certified in our SaaS or in our technology. And Webflow Experts is a great example of that. So they have all these big network of enterprise partners in their web. So I can, before moving forward with Webflow, I can have a look and see if there's some partner that is speaking my language, is local, is close to me, I know, trusted and familiar. And these guys here in the bottom, they're Microsoft. And Microsoft, I think, is the best example of having a huge and powerful partnership network. Is one of their competitive advantages. So wherever you go with Microsoft, you for sure are going to have a partner that supports that technology and is going to help you, and is local and speaks your language, and and everything, and can customize the technology, everything. So that's great. And the trial before commitment, we've talked about that, helping the customer. These examples of Copper and Webflow. The second set of attributes are the so-called, what we call market category cooperation attributes. That means attributes that indicate that credibility and commitment with the market you are in. That means if you are competing in the CRM space, having certifications and contributing to the market category with, for example, complementary products, that builds credibility. It's like from the guys that have built this for this very same market, right? From the guys that are the market leaders in this very same market. Those are market cooperation attributes. Let's have a look to the attributes. Having standards and certification is adhering to industry standards that similar vendors work to support, or having standards and certifications in terms of being certified in things that your customer cares about, right? Complementary products means ensure complementary products and tools and services are offered by familiar companies. I mean, you or your partner network, but those products, those are developed by you, right? Having sponsorships or partnerships, you recruit recognized companies or organizations to support your new innovation or product through a sponsorship or partnership. And then having IP and patents in the same space, improve the market category you serve with new tools and technologies in the very same space. So the early market gets a little bit about standards and certification, a little bit more about IP and patents, because that means it's a new technology and cool, right? The mainstream, they care the same about IP and patents, not that much, but they start to care about having sponsorships, partnerships, that you have complementary products, because it's the way they make decisions. They compare all these attributes before buying from you, right? So they care about that. And then standards and certifications. What are your standards, your certifications in this market category? They care more about that. And for example, standards and certifications are, if you are certified, if you have a data tool, it would be very interesting to get certified in and audited in any kind of data certification, or if you are for example, in Europe because of the GDPR. And then another certification is the typical tools or the typical web portals that people uses to compare different solutions, like for example Softera or G2. You can have that certification to be the market leader. And for example, here Terminus, they are market leader, best support, ECS admin in the category of ABM, account-based marketing, right? And those kind of certifications are really helpful for the mainstream. That helps to reduce your risk perception. And then talking about complementary products, a great example is Stripe. Stripe started as a payments platform, but now you see all the different products they have: business operation, financial services. They even have different verticals: Radar, Sigma, Atlas, Climate. Well, and those products, they all complement their core offering, which is the payments platform. They drive more customers just because they have complementary products around the same market category or a complementary market category. Regarding sponsorships and partnerships, the first guys are the Databricks. They have really good partnerships and sponsorships with Microsoft Azure, Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, Alibaba Cloud. That gives a lot of credibility, but on top of that, that drives deals, because all these partners are driving deals for Databricks. And then in the bottom, we have Spark Loop. So Spark Loop, they are a SaaS tool, which is a referral program for email subscribers, right? So then you have ConvertKit. So what they've done is Spark Loop now is part of one of the pricing tiers of ConvertKit. So ConvertKit is driving deals to Spark Loop, but then Spark Loop is driving deals to ConvertKit, because now they have pricing tiers together. So that's a sponsorship and partnership, right? Now, the fourth set and the last of attributes to reduce your risk perception in terms of intangibles and complete your product are the safety numbers attributes. It's, I'm not alone with this. I'm not alone with your technology because I don't want to move ahead. Those are the early adopters and the innovators, but I want tested things and I want proof that this thing is tested, right? So those are attributes that act as an external safeguard for the risk-averse majority. What are these attributes? First of all, of course, visible or word-of-mouth references. And we need, as go-to-market leaders, you need to facilitate observable or spoken recommendations from people the user knows and trusts. If they don't know, at least they should trust. So a big company so having those references in your webpage, your sales pitch, and the closer to the customer, the better in terms of geography and in terms of vertical, in terms of industry, right? Community-based communication. So that means enable the exchange of unbiased information through a user-controlled community. All right, so what happened with the information that flows from our company, from your company? So the early adopters, they are supportive and they trust what you are going to tell them. But then when we cross that chasm and we move to the early majority, that other 34% of the market, they think that those communications are biased. And that's why the decision making starts to be more difficult, right? And closing a sale is more difficult because they need to compare, they need to research, they need to find references, they need to talk with someone they trust to ask about you, right? So at the end of the day, what they really need is unbiased communication. Is someone telling them, this is the tool you need, and these are the guys you need. These guys are the real deal. And they want to hear that from someone they know and they trust, not from you and from your company, right? So that is what community-based communication does. Then security and privacy means providing independent safeguards that ensure both security and privacy. So your data is safe with us, we won't spam you and all of that, but having certification, having proof. And universal maintenance and support is prevent turning users into what we call technology orphans. They are going to think, the mainstream again, not the early adopters, they are going to think, okay, what if this tool disappear? There are plenty of SaaS tools that and technologies that every year disappear. So they are going to think, what if they disappear? What if go out of business? Now I'm alone with this. I'm a technology orphan. So to avoid that means create a long-term support infrastructure, and that means having partners, an infrastructure of partners, like for example Microsoft, that is completely independent from you. So you certify them, but then if at some point you disappear, or they want to switch who is serving them, that they have another partner, because you are universal, you are kind of a standard. They have another partner that can help them, don't get stuck with you, with your technology, and that's reducing the risk perception of your product and puts the buying decision way easier for the potential customer. They don't want to feel they can be technology orphans or they are locked with you, right? They are stuck with you. And as you can see, those attributes are very important for the mainstream. The early market don't care a lot about that. So examples, SaaS examples, visible or word of mouth references. Microsoft has an excellent portal by region, by industry, by language, in which they have plenty of different cases, and that is great. And in the bottom, we have the guys of Euphoria, PTC, and they have kind of the same, and that's what you want to do, right? Have plenty of different cases that I can filter because I care. If I'm a late adopter, I care about my region. If I'm an early adopter, I care about my vertical. But the late adopters care both about region, language, vertical, right? It's reduced more and more the risk perception as the market matures. Universal maintenance and support. So the guys of Snowflake, they have built this huge network of chapters in different regions, which is great to reduce the risk perception in terms of universal maintenance and support, because these group chapters, first of all, with these group chapters, they can have the user and the potential technology adopter, your potential customer, they can have unbiased communication. So that's one attribute, right? And the second attribute, they can feel safe because they have the support of another customers that they are using Snowflake. And PTC is the same with the universal maintenance and support. They have this huge network of partnerships, and you can search for partnerships in different regions and segments. Regarding security and privacy, the guys of Snowflake, they are doing it great too, and look, so they have so many different certifications in terms of security compliance and reports. That helps reduce risk perception and putting things easy to buy from the mainstream. So that's something you want to take care about, right? And of course, as I said, communicating, because if you don't communicate it, it doesn't exist. So you are not helping reduce sales cycles. And then last but not least, community-based communication. We talk about the chapters, but a great example is Notion too. They have global groups, location-based groups, interest-based groups, and they are all Slack groups. And communities, led by customers or by ambassadors. They are not people that is working in the company, so the company has nothing to do with that, and is what you want, and bias communication. So those kind of communities are great. Now, how do we see the difference, this complete product and how to take care of product completeness in your company? So for us, it's different than how we see it and how we help SaaS and technology business in their organizations to take care of the whole product. Is product development and product managers, they take care about core innovation, product and features. But then the go-to-market leaders, product marketing, the chief revenue officers, the chief marketing officers, the chief commercial officers or VPs, I don't care about the name, but the go-to-market leaders, even the CEOs, they are the ones that should take care about completing the product to reduce the risk perception. So it's a joint work between the product managers and then the go-to-market leaders. And that's how you can split the responsibilities, right? Now, how to apply the low-risk recipe and complete your product for your business. So once you have a strong sense that your technology is ready to be sold to the mainstream, because remember, the early adopters, they don't care that much about completing the product, so you can keep selling features, but once you want to move forward and reach the next wave of adopters, but most importantly, achieve sustainable growth, you move past your early adopters, you move past your product market fit, and try to conquer the mainstream, is when you have to start thinking about completing the product for that risk-averse majority. So it's about interviewing 12 people in your target segment, potentially in that early majority or late majority, depending on your market maturity. Interview another 12 thought leaders or experts in your product domain or in your industry, and you are going to gather plenty of different insights. Then together with that, you want to analyze the lost opportunities with lost interviews. So I have sales or have someone in your go-to-market team to interview the lost deals with the prospective customers and understand why you lost. Why are you losing deals? So with all that information that you are gathering from the different interviews and the lost opportunities, it's all about understanding the different low risk attributes that you don't have in your product offering, right? It's about, okay, they are saying me that, for example, they are not with us because they want 24 hours support, ongoing support, and we don't offer that. Okay, so that's one risk perception attribute. That's in the first part of the end user harmony of the low risk recipe. Okay, so let's take note for that. And so that's what you want to find. You want to find out what are the different risk perception attributes that are making you lose deals or having less customers or having very long sales cycles. And then once you have that list, you want to prioritize, because you need to find repetition. If in just one interview you found one low risk attribute, that doesn't mean anything. We need to find it. We need to find a pattern. You need to find it 3, 4, 5, 6 times, right? Is what you want. You want to find repetition. So you prioritize by repetition, the most repeated attributes that you are finding or lost reasons that you are finding, prioritize, and then ideate a solution with your go-to-market team and your product team to build a low-risk offering and that complete product. And then, of course, you need to put a name on that. Who is going to take care of building these intangible attributes, communicating these intangible attributes? Because a lot of the times, what we need is to recruit partners and alliances that complete your product. Because most of the times, technology and SaaS companies by themselves cannot complete the product. And that's when you want to start having a look to partnerships and, most importantly, strategic alliances that are going to help you adding intangible attributes to reduce your sales cycles and convince the the majority of the market. And then once you have your complete product, well, this is an ongoing process. As you are adding intangibles, you communicate intangibles, you improve your sales pitch, you enable your sales team, you create marketing collaterals or adjust the marketing collaterals, you communicate that in the web. Stripe is a great example of how they have all the offering intangibles in their web, and that's great. And you include all the new risk reduction attributes you built or gathered in all of this in the pitch, in sales, in the web, in the marketing collaterals. Well, I hope this has been really helpful for you, and I hope that you can apply this for your business. And let me know if you have any questions, or let's have a strategy call if you want to go through how we can help you complete your product offering. Bye bye. Thank you so much for your time.